Here we go again. Bitcoin is dumping and Iran has suspended its talks with the US. Can we still get that summer relief rally, or are we just going to capitulate lower? As you can see here, Iran has suspended its talks on a final settlement with the United States, and we have some news coming out that Trump keeps on reiterating that it's not about regime change, but rather it is about nuclear weapon. If you've been tuning into the channel, time and time again, we've talked about the fact that the charts come first. And based on what I'm seeing, we can still get that summer relief rally. Now, if you're new to the channel, what you'll notice is that I am in a massive Bitcoin short. I need to keep reiterating this because I have positioned myself in a way where if Bitcoin just decides to capitulate lower, I will make tons of money on the way down, currently up over $600,000 on my big Bitcoin short. But more recently, we went long on Bitcoin, and over the past week and a half or so, I talked about the fact that I'd be willing to add to my existing long as well. So my long here is currently up around $60,000, and I've already hit some of those profit target zones, such as $60,000 and such as $62,000. My next profit zone is 65K if we can make it there, but I am looking to re-add to this long, and it will of course be shared within my community. If we take a look at Bitcoin more locally here, you can see that we are currently below the anchored VWAP from that previous pivot. Normally, you want Bitcoin to hold this level if we are to get any kind of continuation higher. However, there is a more significant level that I would like you to pay attention to, and that level is right below $60,000 because one, it is clearly a crucial support level for Bitcoin, which we have managed to reclaim on this most recent rally. But two, if we take the volume profile from the top here to where we are today, it actually coincides perfectly with this lower yellow line, which is the value area low of this range that we've been in since effectively the beginning of June. So this is where I would consider to potentially add to my existing Bitcoin long. Obviously, I need to see some strong price action at the level. So if Bitcoin dumps down to here and we basically get movement like this, where we drop below and then we chop around below the level and we reclaim the level, this is effectively my long trigger on Bitcoin to add to my existing position. But I have to keep reiterating the fact that I am well positioned for more downside if it is to come. Why am I still gunning for a summer relief rally on Bitcoin? Well, it's quite simple. In bear markets, there's multiple ways that Bitcoin's price action can develop in the summer. And in 2022, what happened was we effectively had a major drop lower in June. So we had this move in 2022 from $31,000 all the way down to 17.5K. But then going halfway through June, we had a pretty big relief rally all the way into August. Now, this relief rally from the low to the high, which we've discussed time and time again, was over 40%. If we take a look at the 2018 scenario, which I think looks a little bit more similar to what we're seeing today, Bitcoin swept its low at the beginning of the year, going into June once more, and then we still had another summer relief rally from the low to the high, over a 40% rally once more. We topped out right at that 200-day moving average, which I think could be a scenario that plays out for Bitcoin this summer. So long as we manage to create higher lows, we can still expect some summer relief for Bitcoin. Now, today we are sitting at $61,600. Go back to my previous videos. I said that I'd be willing to add to my existing long if we do get the retests that I'm looking for. My long entry was at around $58,100, as you can see here, and this entry was also shared within my community. If you're in my community right now, you are effectively comfy because I took that long and I'm also positioned short. Guys, if you want to join my community, remember it's the first link in the description down below. If you DM me the keyword CBM on Telegram with the first link, you'll be able to access that community. You click this link, type in the keyword CBM, and the only requirement is that you've signed up with one of these affiliate exchange links down below, and you start trading on there as you'd normally do. You're trading with your own money. It's a group where I share all of my own personal trade setups in this market, as well as my overall market analysis in terms of investments. Actually, we're looking at a couple of stocks within the group as well, if that interests you, because the platforms that I trade on, Bluffin and Weeks, for example, also allow you to trade stocks. But anyways, unless Bitcoin hits the level that I highlighted, right at around this 59.9 zone, I'm not going to be interested to add to my position because I'm well positioned from lower and it requires patience as a swing trader. The other reason why $59,900, call it around 60K zone, maybe a little sweep below, is significant is simply because if we take a look at the liquidity, you'll notice that tons of liquidity is piled up there from the long side of things. So grabbing this downside liquidity could actually be quite interesting for Bitcoin as people start calling for lower prices, but we still manage to get that summer relief rally. Let's see how this plays out. So far, my long, I would consider this a successful trade because I've made already over $30,000, but I am still technically gunning higher for Bitcoin before likely moving lower. The big target for the swing long, if we manage to drop to this level and I can add to my position, would be at around the 2021 all-time high up until that 200-day moving average, which is actually all the way up currently to $74,000. But you have to remember, the longer that Bitcoin stays below these moving averages, the lower the moving averages go. And so I'd be happy to adjust my targets so long as these moving averages drop, and I'll keep you updated within the community if that actually happens. At this point in time, sitting in my positions, looking for a potential re-entry on Bitcoin if we are to sweep some lower liquidity. Until then, it makes sense to be patient in this market because this is the kind of price action that can shake out a lot of traders. If you're not positioned short from higher as I am from $80,000, from $98,000, then it also at this point does not make sense to go aggressively short at $61,500 because really the market could go in either direction here. I know the headlines scare a lot of you, but please remember that the charts always come first. How many times have you seen on the news that, for example, the US has struck Iran and then all of a sudden Bitcoin is pumping, and then as soon as they sign this 90-day memorandum of understanding, all of a sudden Bitcoin starts dumping? How does that work? Well, it's because everything is priced in on the charts. Don't let the news affect how you trade this market. And if you are relatively uncertain, then not taking a position is a position in this market. Don't overcomplicate things. You don't always need to be in a trade. So at this point in time, we'll wait and see if Bitcoin can tap into these lower levels. If we don't, and we go towards my next take profit zone for my Bitcoin long at around $65,000, then I will simply take profits, move my stop loss to break even, and then we wait and see what the market gives us as I also continue to hold my existing shorts in this market. That's how you want to be positioned. And if you're not already, again, please be patient because we know that on relief rallies for Bitcoin, particularly in bear markets, the price action can get very, very choppy. If you take a look at the last relief rally that Bitcoin had, where we dropped down to $60,000 all the way up to 82K, this was not a very nice relief rally in the sense of we had explosive price action to the upside, but rather we just chopped around and chopped around and chopped around up until we made that high. So it was very much staircase up, elevator down, as I like to say. This is very common in a bear market. So if we are to get relief for Bitcoin, and this is to continue into a summer rally, I would expect choppy price action to the upside and not just an explosive move on the higher time frames before likely retracing lower, creating that bear market bottom that we've been discussing. What else did I want to discuss in today's video? Aside from that, we can see that we have had that 50% correction from all-time high. Still don't think that this is sufficient to call for the bear market low, but something that's interesting is that from an ETF standpoint, we have been seeing some inflows over the past few days. So you can see here that we've had around 200 million worth of inflows on July 6th and then 50 million worth of inflows on July 7th yesterday. We'll see if we get some more inflows today. Taking a look at the Coinbase Premium Index, you can see that we are still in some deep red. There is a lot of selling pressure still. However, we are starting to trend upwards. And so if we can get a little bit of buying pressure here, this would of course bode over well for the price of Bitcoin. So right now, $61,700. We are currently sitting below the 200-week moving average after getting a little bit of a reclaim on the weekly time frame. Keep your eyes on the weekly close as well. Ideally, we can close above the 200-week moving average, which is currently sitting at around $62,800 for Bitcoin. I am still going to look to potentially add to my existing Bitcoin long, and that will of course be shared within my community as soon as I do that. Tomorrow we'll have a live stream, and speaking of which, guys, if you scroll down in the description down below, I've actually added my new summer schedule because I know that some of you want to be able to tune into the live streams. When should you be expecting a video? When should you be expecting a live stream? Well, now we have it. So Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays at around 12 p.m. UTC, which is 1.5 hours before the New York stock market opens, I will be going live. On Wednesdays and Sundays, I will stick to my video updates because I know that some of you prefer these kinds of quick, digestible updates. And on Friday, I will basically just decide whether or not I do a video or a live stream, depending on the occasion. And that sums up today's quick video. If you enjoyed the content, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe, turn on that post notification bell, and I'll see you in tomorrow's live stream.